Oh my goodness, a super busy week for Palantir, and this is garnering more and more support, it looks like, from the media, as well as excitement around just their momentum as a business, as well as a stock, and that's continuing to be recognized in some even crazier news. Now, looking at the stock first, it was a pretty flat week when you look at it this way for the last 5 days, but we did make a short dip back below $30 intraday, but managed to close out the pre-holiday week still above $31. So we'll continue to see how this plays out. Now, let's get all that marketing frenzy out of the way first. There's a ton of it for Palantir, and it was a super busy week because of it. And it's also just a heads up here that this is hours of content coming from multiple avenues. So I'll just point out the different sources with a quick description so you can check them out when you have a chance and want to dig further. Now, first on Palantir's main YouTube channel, we've got a fan favorite Chad posting a demo called Palantir Architecture Speedrun from Integration to Application. This is an amazing speedrun, honestly, as the title implies, about how Palantir actually gets to a production environment and to application when building on top of them. It's a great intro, honestly, for those who want to know the possibilities and the breadth of tools and options available with Palantir, covering the big value adds that they see for clients. Now, this is a must-see demo in my opinion, but it is still just a taster for the things that they can do, but it's good to get them exposed to the Palantir products, especially if it's fresh for you. Then also posted this week on their YouTube channel is a series of 6 videos covering the journey of 6 newerish employees. You'll see they are super young and just starting out their careers, but they obviously made it into Palantir for a reason, and each of their journeys show the different obstacles that they've had to overcome, as well as the sacrifices and decisions they had to make that eventually led them to Palantir and the work they're doing today. And really, it's a huge reflection of the organization too, the mission that they follow and go after, and the kind of top talent that they are attracting and trying to retain and looking for across not only industry different experience, but in personality, the drive, the work ethic, creativity, and many more. So it's interesting to see that inside look under the hood at Palantir. And then also on YouTube, Palantir finally got around to posting the AI PCon 4 highlights that took place around 2 months ago on June 6th. But it's always great to show off the highlights of who presented as well as the cool demo showcase, but also shows its growth of this marketing strategy for Palantir, where they're drawing tons of people now each and every time. And we only get a taste of this, of course, from the live streams, but there's numerous workshops with many professionals across all types of clients and industries ready to get their hands dirty and into the software with a bit of that in-person context to hit the ground running fast. Then on the blog side of things written wise, we get a new post called Human Rights and Technology, which goes over that mission of Palantir and their strong focus on privacy. So it's nothing really new here for the OGs, and here considering Alex Karp's speeches about protecting civil liberties from being infringed while still being able to help the government agencies bring security. So you'll get a huge background on what they've been doing in building out their products, and of course that's mixed in with the focus and why they made the products the way they are today. And then we also got Shyam Sankar showing up on the Alpha List podcast. Here he goes over the history of Palantir from his experience and perspective, as well as the mission and technology over time and how it's developed. But also from his perspective on leadership, how he runs things as the CTO of Palantir, while talking about some of the big strides they've made at the company, and in doing so, trying to bring AI to the industrialization process of America. So it's a cool interview to give a listen to with some familiar talking points, of course, but we get to hear some of the nuance from Shyam Sankar, even on his own productivity and how he gets around there, and lessons he would teach to his younger self, like doubling down on your strengths and superpowers. That's a very common theme that, at least from his leadership perspective, is important. So it's a definite worthwhile listen. But even though Palantir was busy themselves with all this marketing, the media coverage also on them also had a few stories throughout the week. We've got first CNBC during their halftime show actually bringing up Palantir, and they were literally love bombing them, pointing out Palantir's biggest strength is that they have a real product today out in the market, bringing real value to enterprises as we speak, at least in comparison to the competition and from what everyone is talking about. It's really the most complete AI product from their perspective right now for folks to build on top of as a platform. And they also praise their ability to break into the commercial sector and ripping out of that heavy government reputation that they had before. So it's quite a bullish sentiment here, lots of excitement from the speakers, so highly of Palantir, and it is a big change from when we were a couple years ago, kind of talking down on them. And also related to CNBC too, Tom Lee from Fundstrat, who is a constant speaker on the channel, he actually released on the Fundstrat Insight website that Palantir is a top super SMID granny play, and SMID as in small mid cap, as one of the top 5 stocks in their opinion right now. Now, I always like to take a grain of salt when you see these kind of lists, and the big thing is that they are seeing Palantir as an opportunity with not only a lot of momentum, but also tailwinds around the macro environment in their favor. So, like anything, it's cool to see some recognition from Palantir, especially for such a mainstream name like Tom Lee. And I know he has a big following here, and people do actually listen to what he has to say. And then once again, Forrester released their list of the best companies to look out for when trying to get an AI ML solution. Now, Palantir is marked as a leader in their rating as having the best current offering. And when you look at the graphic provided, they are really above the rest of the companies in this regard. Note though that this is on the y-axis value. Now, interestingly, at least the way that they wanted to portray this, and remember, this is based on Forrester's rating scores, which I'll show shortly after as well with all the different companies and Palantir specifically. But surprisingly to me, they ended up in fourth place in their strategy, or at least the strength of it from their opinion, behind Databricks, Google, and C3 AI based on that X value access, which caught me by surprise, at least seeing C3 AI there. Now, for Google and Databricks, I guess you can make the argument. I'm not too surprised. They are on top and trying to break into the market and will be a real competitor, and right now actually is a competitor in my opinion. But just kind of funny to point that out, especially with the C3 AI. Now, going to the Arnie post here on X, those individual ratings for the different categories, you can see where Palantir quote unquote fell short, but also did very well. For how they got their lead for current offerings, they have strong data exploration, preparation, and enrichment, which sounds like their pipeline builder and ontologies to me, while also having strong training and evaluations, and then data and model governance, predictive development, and generative development, and architecture security, all of which are actually not surprising to me because I've been following the company. Basically, it's saying that they have a good product around this. Now, quote unquote, falling short though in training tools, which can be argued they don't necessarily have the hands-on training that's easily accessible unless you have the new build.palantir.com account, which is free. But that's still new here, and I believe they're still building out more training as well. And then also on the architecture workload performance, they must have ran some tests and didn't like that. But at only one here, I see that they put their architecture ecosystem so low. So maybe they're saying they're not too friendly to play with others. I'm not sure, but that's the only downfall, at least for this category. Now, if you go further down, you can see on the strategic side for them scoring lower in regards to innovation, partner ecosystem, adoption, and price flexibility and transparency, which I can kind of see honestly for the last two, especially with pricing. You don't really know how much it is until they kind of figure it out. Now, partnership wise, I get it too. It's still not as simple as just sign up, here you go, and now it's just easy and get improvements. But innovation wise, I don't know here. That might be a little bit more qualitative, but either way, it is not the highest score. So there's definitely an art and science. Plus, it's not like they are bad strategically wise, right? They're still in fourth place. It's just that they're not the number one in this area. But regardless, Palantir is rightfully getting the recognition today because they are bringing real value to their clients and leveraging AI today for so many who are still just trying to figure it out still. And in the end, the goal really is to get more eyeballs on them as a company, which in turn should help them bring in more customers, hopefully. And maybe not need to convince them as hard since the evidence is still there and piling up. Year after year, they are the top product for AI from Forrester. And for one of the craziest stories here that we've had in a while, the Russian Foreign Ministry actually put out the announcement of a bunch of Americans getting banned/sanctioned, and look who appeared on this list: CEO Alex Karp, Palantir's very own. And this badge of honor was a long time coming in my opinion, so no surprise at least. I'm actually more surprised how long it took considering how outspoken he has been and very helpful to the Ukrainian side. But it's laid out here exactly, and no doubt Karp falls into this category. Russia will be denying to people on this list in retaliation for sanctions, but also for people like Karp who are heads of key defense companies like Palantir, who are literally supplying help to the armed forces of Ukraine. And if it's not specific enough, this is for people who are providing direct encouragement to the current Ukrainian president, Vladimir Zelensky. So it's pretty much black and white here that Karp should be on this list, and some would even consider it a badge of honor like I mentioned. It's one less country he can go to, but we know all his business interests as well as Palantir's is literally on the opposing side of where Russia is today. So it's pretty symbolic right now, but you know, it comes with the territory, and this was always in the cards ever since the company was founded, literally to stand on the side of the United States. But what are your thoughts though below, and I'll see you in the next video.